Welcome to the Big Picture Retirement Show, where you'll learn what it really takes to have a successful retirement. With over 20 years of experience, your host, Reid Abedeen of Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, has seen it all and is here to help you achieve your retirement dreams. This is the Big Picture Retirement Show.
Welcome into the Big Picture Retirement Show with Reid Abedeen. I'm Mark Elliott. Reid is the managing partner at Safeguard Investment Advisor Group. Remember, we've been doing Rick Rivera. You've heard from Rick a long time on this Big Picture Retirement Show. Eddie Sota came in from time to time. Well, Rick and Eddie are partners with Reid. Reid is the managing partner of Safeguard Investment Advisor Group. Now, what they are all about, all three of them, they're all here to help you figure out where you are on that road to retirement, right? Income, investment, taxes, healthcare, legacy planning, Social Security, and Medicare. There's a lot on your plate as a retiree. Certainly a pre-retiree to be ready, right? I think we're okay, but I don't know. Well, you can always find out by calling the team at Safeguard. 800-700-1980. There's no cost for you. You can actually have a conversation with Reid. We're going to talk about that at the end of the segment, but there is an opportunity to have just a 15-minute phone call with Reid. No obligation whatsoever. Reid's going to try to figure out if they can help. There's no pressure whatsoever, so it's a great opportunity, 800-700-1980. But if you want to learn more about the team, you can always just go to the website. Some great information there, safeguardinvestment.com. All right, Reid, welcome to the program. And it's been a while since you've been on radio, but you're kind of like, I got Rick and Eddie out working. They're going, and I'm going to pop into this radio stuff. I used to do it back in the day. So you're the managing partner. So you and Eddie kind of are the two that started Safeguard Investment Advisor Group. Rick then came along, and you guys have known each other for a long, long time. Can you kind of walk us through the Safeguard Investment Advisor Group, how it kind of came to be? Because you graduated with a business administration degree, then we're in the banking industry, and now here you are, 20 years plus later, you're in the retirement industry.
Absolutely. And I'm so excited to be back doing the radio. I had Rick and Eddie doing all the heavy lifting, and now they've passed it on to me. But as you mentioned, I started in the banking industry. I was recruited by a financial company. I was working in the compliance department, dealing with all these advisors. I got to learn what the advisors who are doing really well are doing versus the ones who are not. So when I became an advisor myself and we started Safeguard Investment Advisory, we wanted to make sure that the firm was created based on some principles. And that is, we're not a transactional firm. We're not a sales organization. I wanted to build something that when our representation is to our clients and not an institution. And so that was formed in the early 2000s, and fast forward 20 plus years. And we've got now 7 office locations, and we're really proud of the work we've done because we're here to serve families and make sure we guide them through their investment lives, their retirement. And that is the principles of this company, through education, integrity, and earned trust.
And I think it's so interesting because from the banking industry, you're like, boy, sometimes I have to do things because the bank says I need to push this tool or whatever for their financial plan. I don't think it's really the right one. There's got to be more options. And you think about the brokers that are there to help you grow your money, which they have a great role. They help you grow your money so at some point, hopefully you can retire. But it's a transactional business. And then you go to the insurance side. There are annuities, there are life insurance. Some advisors can't do this or that. So it's one of the interesting things, I think, because you at Safeguard Investment Advisor Group and Rick and Eddie, you guys work in both of those worlds, the market world, but also the insurance world. And so it's not about, you have to have this, for your IRA or this stock or whatever in your IRA, or you need this insurance tool to help you there. It's really sit down with the people first. It's not driven by tools. It's driven by what they need. And then you go find the tools, right? It's not, you don't create a plan because of the tools. You create what do they need and then find out what will help them match their goals or meet their goals.
Yeah, that's so essential because the industry has 2 typical types of advisors. One who will say to the investors, gosh, the markets have gone up this much. You want your money to grow. And they'll say, yeah, of course. So they'll fit them into this category. And then the other will say, well, gosh, when the market's dropped, you don't want to lose money, do you? And the person will say, no, I don't. So they'll fit them in this. The question all of the listeners should be asking which is right. And really, one of them is always going to be wrong. And that's the challenge we have in the industry, unfortunately. And that is if they're geared towards one direction or the next, there's going to be errors made. And I want everyone to think that when an investment choice is selected, if it is a poor one, the institution will never pay the price, nor will the advisor. It is always the consumer. And so having the understanding of the terrain is our goal for the investors to make sure they understand the pros and cons. We're often told, Mark, why we should have things. What tends to be left out is why we shouldn't. And my goal is to have you understand why you shouldn't have it. And we'll get to why you should, but understanding that terrain.
Really, it's the purpose, right? What is the purpose of this? That's kind of how you walk people through it. And I think it's really an interesting thing. And if you'd like to sit down with Reid and just have not even sit down, just have a phone call. Let's have a 15-minute conversation, a strategy session. Where are you? What are your concerns and all of that? With Reid, all you have to do is pick up the phone and call 800-700-1980. There's no cost to you. There's no obligation. There's no pressure. 800-700-1980. Let's hear about you because we've done the show with Rick for a long time. Eddie popped in a couple times, but now we've got the managing partner at Safeguard Investment Advisor Group, Reid Abedeen. So, family. I mean, I know your wife's Myrna, then you got 3 kids. Tell us a little bit about that.
I do. I'm very fortunate. I have 3 kids. I have Yusuf, my eldest, who's 26 years old, who is in the business. He actually works out of our office here. I have Lena, who is just graduated from University of Hawaii, and she's going to go get her doctorate. She didn't want to get into the business, so she's going into the medical arena. And then my youngest is Adam, who's 20. He's in his 3rd year in college, and he has aspirations to become in the business, in the financial world. So there's potential internships for him, and we're really excited about him joining this team of ours. And so I couldn't be more proud of them. They've worked very hard, and I understand watching them working, putting money aside, and the efforts they're putting into it, the importance of making sure the right moves are made, whether it's their education or getting a job, the right position, progressing, moving forward. And I've watched these 3 do that. And again, I couldn't be more proud of that.
I think it's one of the things that I think when you sit down with retirees and especially pre-retirees, I mean, your clients basically, I don't know what percent it would be, but it'd be a pretty high percent are already retired. You've got a whole bunch of people that are getting ready to retire and can't wait to do so in most cases, because there's an emotional challenge at times with some that we'll certainly talk about that on this program. But I mean, one thing that your clients are so proud of typically are their kids. Does that kind of come through a lot?
Absolutely. Some of the things I have heard over the years when they, obviously the business that I'm in is in the financial world and it involves numbers. But when we do understand the vision and why, and when we discuss the family dynamics, I've heard so many wonderful stories over the 2.5 decades. I've learned more from my clients, I can honestly say, than they have from me, because they've raised children and they've got grandkids. And as a matter of fact, just yesterday, I was having a conversation with a longtime client who is babysitting their grandchild who's 6 months old, and they just love it. So they just retired, but they're having so much joy spending it with their grandkids because of their daughter. And so it's a remarkable thing. But it gives us meaning as to why it's so important we do the right thing.
Yeah, because the wrong thing could lead to disaster when it comes to your retirement, because you want your money to last as long as you need it to. And it's why every week on this program we give the opportunity to call the team, have a conversation. Well, now it is a one-on-one conversation with Reid Abedeen. That is your opportunity. 800-700-1980, 15-minute strategy call with Reid. 800-700-1980. What would that call kind of be like?
Okay, so I'm really excited about this opportunity. And just for the people who take advantage of this, you will have a 15-minute strategy call with me, not another advisor of the firm. And during that 15-minute strategy call, we will kind of have a discussion as to your vision. I'll give you the 8 critical things that you need to understand in designing your plan. You'll be able to, in that 15-minute strategy call, understand if you've got them in place or you should consider them. And it's going to give you some steps to consider moving forward, whether you want to talk to your own advisor or you want to at least design it on your own, or we'll give you an opportunity further if you want to have an additional discussion with us. But it will be with me. This is something we're testing out this year, and we're committed to it. My schedule is open to do so for the rest of the year.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think at the end of and it's one of the neat things about your job is you get to hear people's stories and their hopes and their dreams. And man, can we help them fulfill their hopes and dreams for retirement? That's a pretty good job to have, I would think. Hey, if you'd like to talk with Reid, 15-minute strategy call, no cost, no obligation whatsoever. All you have to do is pick up the phone, 800-700-1980, 15-minute strategy call with Reid Abedeen, Safeguard Investment Advisory Group. And it's just you and him having a conversation. What are your hopes and dreams? What are you going to do? How are you going to spend your time? Boy, do you have enough? I don't know. Let's find out. Let's see where you are. 800-700-1980. Glad you're with us today for the Big Picture Retirement Show with Reid Abedeen, the managing partner at Safeguard Investment Advisory Group. We're back with more right after this.
You're listening to the Big Picture Retirement Show with Reid Abedeen. For information about Reid and the Safeguard team, go to safeguardinvestment.com. While you're there, you can also download educational retirement guides and sign up for upcoming seminars at safeguardinvestment.com. Now, back to the podcast.
Welcome back to the Big Picture Retirement Show with Reid Abedeen. Reid, the managing partner at Safeguard Investment Advisory Group. I'm Mark Elliott. Again, the website, a lot of great information there, safeguardinvestment.com. You can find out where the 7 offices are across California. Safeguardinvestment.com. You can always give the team a call if you have questions. Boy, I think I can retire. I think we've got enough. I wonder if we're going to be okay if we retire. 800-700-1980. 800-700-1980. I'm Mark Elliott. You know, Reid, one of the crazy parts of our world is the media, and they like to spread fear. And so if I'm watching the media right now, it's like the markets are crashing, tariffs are ruining our economy. And then I see, well, really, the S&P's down 6% this year. It's actually up from a year ago. So, I mean, it sounds like it's always the end of the world. How do you maybe calm people during these? I mean, they've got a plan, right? Your clients have a plan, the big picture blueprint. You walk them through that process. But I would think with the media always so negative all the time, we could get a little leery, couldn't we?
Absolutely. And the news, good news is not going to show up. It doesn't make headlines. I mean, how many people are aware of all the flights when do we hear about airplanes? Unfortunately, we only hear about them when they come crashing because it instills fear. But all the planes that land every single day, no one hears anything about those. And so there are some serious situations out there. Of course, people are going to be fearful when they see the stock market dropping 1,000 points in one day. However, what we'd like people to consider is look at it from the total picture. It's not just one aspect. Yes, markets are dropping, but markets don't go up every single day or every week or every month or necessarily every single year. So you need to have an advisor who's experienced, who has been through this, that can make sure that your plan is structured the right way. I have to tell you, Mark, I hate flying. I absolutely hate it. I remember flying into Coos Bay, which is a small airport. You have to fly into Portland. And I remember landing into Portland and seeing the airplane I was jumping on. And it was one of these twin props.
Right.
And I said, I'm not getting on this thing. And my friends were with me and they're like, come on, don't worry about it. It's an easy flight. We get on the plane. The thing is bouncing all over the place. I thought this plane was coming tumbling down. Now, of course, we landed. As we're getting off the plane, I see the pilot waiting and he's saying goodbye to everyone. And I was just teasing him. I go, boy, what happened there? What is going on? I thought this plane was coming down. He said, that's nothing. And he was sharing with me his experience. He's been through this.
Right.
So what you were describing with the media is very similar in that aspect. Now, it doesn't mean you shouldn't have your plan reviewed. It doesn't mean you shouldn't talk to someone and make sure all the positions are aligned. What we'd hope you not do is panic and make a knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. And I can tell you my little plane, and this was 1977, sixth-round draft choice of the Dodgers, is what I was. But I played first. Steve Garvey was there, never got there. So 1980, I'm 20 years old. I was 17 when I got drafted. So I played for 3 years, 3.5, whatever that was. I get released. So they fly me home, and the last leg was in one of those little prop planes, and it was during a crazy thunderstorm. And I'm right behind the pilot, and I can see the runway going down. We never were squared up until the final 5 feet. I thought, well, this is just a total bad day. I'm released from the Dodgers. My hopes and dreams are over at the age of 20, and I'm going to crash, and it's all over. But luckily, I guess we made it to the ground, and 45 years later, still here. All right. 800-700-1980 to chat with Reid and the team at Safeguard Investment Advisor Group, because it really is about the plan. I think because you guys are what they call duly licensed at Safeguard Investment Advisor Group. You can help people with their market decisions, but you can also help them on the insurance side. And so typically, we probably don't want 100% of our money in the market. And I doubt if you have very many, maybe some that don't need any growth at all because they've got so much, they've really won the game. But you probably don't have very few that are probably zero in the market. Most people are in between there somewhere, I would think.
Absolutely. So rather than the insurance or markets, let's put it in this way. There's two factors that everyone should consider when investing. One is inflation, because cost of living is going to continue to rise. Now, I have clients who have paid more for their car than for their home. They bought their home back when it was $40,000, and I'll say, hey, gosh, what kind of car do you drive? And they'll say SUV that they paid $50,000 for.
Right.
So inflation is one thing, Mark. The second is volatility. And that's the markets which they're experiencing right now is these swings, right? Tariffs happen, markets go down. President Trump may say something, we're going to put this tariff or that one, or we'll remove a tariff, markets go up. That is the volatility. So these two areas, every investor should be looking at. Now, if you're 90, you don't need to worry about inflation. Statistically, you won't be here 10 years from now, right? So inflation is not a big issue for you. So you don't need to go out and invest heavily in stocks to protect you for 15 years from now. And then on the other side, if you're maybe in your 50s, you do need to factor in inflation and volatility. So those areas need to be, I guess what I'm trying to get at, Mark, is these need to be customized. I've seen too many boilerplate plans where they'll say, put all your money in annuities because the markets went down, or put all your money in the markets because they did really well. And that just doesn't work.
So there is not a plan for those of you that visit the Corona office, and then an opposite plan for those that come from San Diego or Escondido or Oxnard or Santa Barbara or Roseville. It's about you. How can Reid and the team at Safeguard Investment Advisor Group help? And I think working with a professional, it seems to me, can make all the difference in this. And it's what you're talking about, that individualized big picture blueprint, if you will, about whomever you're sitting down with having that conversation with. Tell us why working with Safeguard Investment Advisor Group, a team like yours, Reid, is especially important during times like these.
So I'm glad that question is here because it's what we've strived to avoid, and that's the boilerplate, one size fits all. Now, I could say that, and I've heard advisors say you should have a customized plan. There's 8 things that should be taken into consideration in order for a plan to be customized. So the first one is risk. Are you taking the risk that is appropriate for your vision, you and your family's vision? Number 2, our biggest expense is going to be government in the future. So making sure your taxes are at least factored in and how that impacts us moving forward. Number 3, you need to know the implicit and explicit fees on your investments. Now, I've seen people spend hours trying to save money on which appliance they buy by looking at Best Buy or things like this. People are unaware of their investment fees. They are there, they're just not showing up on their statement. So you need to know the internal costs. Number 4, everyone should be considering Roth conversions. Everyone. Because this will protect you for the future and the unknown. Number 5 is income planning, making sure that your income is structured, that is not being impacted by the day-to-day market volatility and news and things that are going to come up. Number 6, you need to make sure that if something happens, that your spouse is protected for long-term care or yourselves. So long-term care need to be at least addressed. I am not implying anyone should go buy long-term care insurance, making sure the right plan is structured as a part of all this. Number 7 is wealth transfer. Gosh, you know what? If you don't spend it, whether it's children, family, loved ones, organizations, wherever you want it to go to, that way it avoids the process of probate, making sure that there's no additional taxes. And last but not least, 8, which is as critical as ever, is your identity theft plan. And we are showing clients how to protect themselves from that also, because that's what advisors do. Advisors are looking at the total plan, not just where to invest the money.
And I'm guessing when you started Safeguard Investment Advisor Group, that one of the 8 big things you need to think about was not identity theft. But in today's world, it is. So if you'd like to walk through these 8 things with Reid, or you just have a couple to go, wow, I'd like to know more about that, or I'm not really sure if I'm set in that area. Maybe my income's not guaranteed to last as long as I'm here or we're here. Call Reid and the team. This is a strategy call, 15-minute strategy call with Reid Abedeen. Just picking up the phone and calling 800-700-1980. No cost to you, no obligation. It might be the most important phone call you make, actually, to get some clarity into your picture, to help you make some big decisions as it pertains to getting into retirement, or maybe you're already retired. 800-700-1980. 800-700-1980. Reid, a pleasure. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. We'll do it again next week.
Pleasure's all mine, and I look forward to speaking to you. So I encourage you to take advantage of this 15-minute strategy call. Give us a call, 800-700-1980.
Firm offers insurance services. Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, LLC is a registered investment advisory firm. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, LLC is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, LLC.